Well, good morning for day 3. My kitchen is a absolute wreck. I mean, I've been washing things as I've been going, but I mean, there's only so much that you can do. One of my kiddos cleaned up the table for me, thankfully. So, but I gotta somehow get all these jars rinsed off because they get kind of sticky from the canning, and labeled and put away. And then I gotta jump right back in. I've still got a big box of pears. I still got some cucumbers, and a friend dropped off some peaches. And she dropped off some meat too, but it was frozen, so luckily I just put that right straight in the freezer. So on to day 3. Good.
He must have misheard me when him and I were sneaking up. There's pack up now. Back then.
So welcome back. I had to take like a week off in between the videos because I got super busy. And but now we're taking care of cucumbers. So I've got my slicing attachment on this rotating guide, and so I'm just going to stick my cucumbers in here. I'm going to slice them up, and the plan is to make salt and vinegar cucumber chips instead of potato chips. So you need to get some nice slices, and this makes them like that. So pretty good. So we're gonna just then, after we slice a bunch, we're gonna brine them in with salt and vinegar until I can get them in my dehydrator. And we're gonna dehydrate them. And they'll be nice and crisp for kind of a snack. And we just got way too many cucumbers to do pickles with everything, but yeah. So it'll be kind of good, like pickle chips. So Dominic here is going to also be helping me make some ranch dressing flavored cucumber chips. We have this powdered ranch. He's going to put half of that in the bag. Go for it, Dom.
Hello, I'm Dominic from Tracy's Homestead. I'm Tracy's son. She doesn't like me calling her Tracy, but I am calling her Tracy because
I don't have much time on the video. Can you?
Okay. Well, since Mom doesn't have much time on the video, I
put half of it in there.
Okay.
A little bit more. Alright. And then what we do is we just seal it up. We're going to put it in the fridge overnight, and then we will dehydrate it.
Do I shake it up?
Yes.
Goodbye.
So now we're going to do some peppers for fajitas. I love these peppers that I grew this year. They turned out really well. I love that they are green and then they turn red. I mean, most peppers, that's how it works, but a lot of people don't know that. So, but they turn this really nice red. And this one is one I'm especially proud of. So, I'm gonna cut it out, and I might even save those seeds. Look at all those seeds. Anyway, so I'm just gonna cut these into strips, and then I'm going to freeze them for fajitas this winter. So now I'm going to work on some beets. They are pretty small, but that's as big as they're going to get. So I'm going to blanch the beet greens and then freeze them, and then I'm going to blanch and freeze the beets because I don't have a whole lot. So you can take scissors if you have any, but mine are not clean right now. So I'm just going to cut it off like this. I'm doing it this way because that way all the dirt lands in a bowl instead of all over my cutting board. Then we can use the same blanching water for the beets and the greens, but we'll do the greens first. So we'll rinse them off, chop them up into kind of like bite-size-ish or a little bit bigger. Hey friends, I don't know what day it is. I don't know where I am, what I'm doing or anything, but I am here preserving as a part of my marathon canning and preserving again today. I have, pardon me, grape juice to can that I steam juiced earlier. I have at least 40 pounds of tomatoes plus probably another 10, so about 50 pounds of tomatoes, probably about, I want to guess, 15 pounds of apples, maybe 20. I have some cucumbers and I think some zucchini that I was given. My husband accepted some while I was not home, so I'm just gonna start going to town. As you can see, I've got a lot of clean dishes to put away first. It looks like a lot, but this is actually a very minimal setup for a family of my size. So, and then I've got my cast iron. We just finished making lunch. My 10-year-old made some quesadillas for everybody. And you're going to see me drinking a whole lot of Coke because I need some energy to get this all done. So come along on, I don't know, I think this is going to end up being part 3 or part of part 3. All right, here we go. Okay, so first we're going to take care of the grape juice. I've got it in a gallon jar. The bottom has some more sediment than the top because I let it set for a day or two in the refrigerator. So at first I'm going to just go ahead and pour this off. I taste tested it. It doesn't need any sugar or anything. It's perfect exactly the way that it is. So I'm going to be canning it in pints because I don't give my kids full strength juice usually. We mix it with water and a pint is going to be enough for me to open and give everybody some watered down grape juice and it'll be good. So I'm going to start by just pouring it in, and then when I get closer to the sediment, I'm going to put one of my kind of thin cloth napkins over it because I don't have a whole lot of cheesecloth right now, and this works just fine. And that'll help to filter out any of the extra sediment so that it's not a chunky juice. All right, so here we go. I'll show you a couple and then we'll cut to the next clip. All right, 1/4 inch or so headspace. And they are going to water bath can for 15 minutes. You can scrape that foam off. I don't really bother. So, all right, see you in a bit. So last night I had apples going in my crock pot. This morning I checked on them. They looked fine except some of them had kind of burned on the edges. So I scooped it out into this bowl so I could clean off the burnt stuff so it didn't flavor the rest, and to make sure it didn't flavor the rest. So my apples they're a nice brown. This is going to be more like an apple butter. And I'm going to be actually just putting this back in the crock pot now that I've got the little scalded bits off and adding more apples to it. This applesauce is going to be more for like baking, making applesauce cakes, things like that. So I'm going to be adding just a lot of apples to it, and as it cooks down, it'll get a better, more appley flavor. These apples are not exceptionally appley flavored, so I'll be adjusting the flavor when it gets to the consistency that I like. But I am going to be adding in 1/2 of a stick of cinnamon. I don't know where you can see that. There you go. Against my pale skin. Yes, okay. 1/2 a stick of cinnamon to give it a little bit more of that autumn flavor. So that we can use it in baking this winter. So as I'm letting my grape juice filter, and I found my jelly bag. So I'm letting my grape juice filter into the pint jars while I am getting the apples going, and then I'm going to start on another thing. So I mentioned before that I am going to make potato chips, but cucumber chips, okay? So these are salt and vinegar, and they've been hanging out in my fridge for a couple of days, getting all pickly. So you could absolutely do this with just pickles. But I'm going to be making salt and vinegar chips out of these cucumbers simply by dehydrating them. So I have my dehydrator racks here. I'm going to spread them out in a single layer. It still has some tomato peel. Don't be alarmed. I'm not worried about a little bit of tomato peel getting in my cucumbers. So we're just going to lay them all out. And I've got 4 trays on this dehydrator, and if I need another one, I've got another dehydrator in the pantry. So I'm going to just put these on here. And basically you can do them overnight or 8 hours or 12 hours just until they are crisp like a chip. So my dehydrator is over here kind of tucked into a corner. The temperature I have it at is 135. It's also called fruit or veggies, or 58 Celsius. And yeah, I'll just let it go 8 to 12 hours or so. I'll just kind of check on it after a while and see how it's doing. Only my salt and vinegar fit in here, so I'm going to have to get the other dehydrator and get that ready for the ranch flavored ones. This is 40 pounds of tomatoes that I bought for $1 a pound. And then I have some from my own garden. And so we're going to go ahead and process these. So I'm going to rinse them off. There are a ton of fruit flies because a couple of them got a little smushed. We're going to rinse them off in my giant bowl of water. I've got a pot for blanching over there so that we can slip the skins off. And as soon as we've got the skins off, I'm going to get them into this big old pot to start cooking it down. And I think this time I'm just doing plain tomatoes because I can always add seasonings to make it a pasta sauce. And I don't quite have the energy to make salsa today. So that's what I'm doing right now.
Could you skip this episode?
So mostly I use canned diced tomatoes. That's what I use mostly in everything because it can easily be mashed up a little bit more into a pasta sauce or added to chili or soup or pretty much anything. So what I'm going to be doing is I've been setting my peeled blanched tomatoes in here in this big pot. And I decided what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take them out one at a time, cut them into dices, and then get them straight into the jars, and any juices that's left at the end, you can probably see over here I have another pan full of them. Any juices left at the end, that's what I'll top it off with, plus some salt and any additional water as needed. So that's what I'm going to be doing. Energy. See, I'm not totally natural all the time. I have a little bit of fun too. I'm just going to go ahead and see if I can get you on the screen. So I'm just going to give it a nice big chop. These are still kind of warm. Well, I'm telling the people watching the video what I'm doing. I'm telling them about cutting tomatoes. Okay, baby. So those are slivers, or sticks, however you want to call them. And then just lay them down and kind of...
Mommy?
Well, you get to eat this later, but the people watching the video tell you about it too. Yeah, I can tell you about it too. So now I've got some diced tomatoes, and I'm just going to get a funnel so that I don't get the rims of my jars too messy. Get them loaded up. I've got 7 jars packed up with tomatoes, and that's because I can fit 7 jars in each of my big canners, quart jars. adding half a teaspoon of salt to the top. And honestly, I'm just going to shake it up because it has enough liquid in there already. But the damp paper towel, wipe, get a lid, place it on there, make sure it's pretty evenly so that you don't get an accidentally doesn't seal. Basically, that means that if the metal is pressing against the glass, not the rubber pressing against the glass, it just means that it's lifted up a little bit too far and it won't seal. So you just kind of run your finger around, make sure it's pretty much on there evenly with a little lip of the metal around the edge on all sides. In case you're new to canning and you're like me and you were like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to get this right. So, all right, hold it on, spin it on a little bit tighter. Ta-da. And I'm going to clamp it a little bit extra tight because I'm going to shake that salt in, but then I'm going to back it off so that it's ready for the can. I'm going to do that the rest of them. And finally got my grape juice filtered enough that, sorry about all the light weird, it's because I'm wearing a dark outfit and I have like fluorescent skin. Anyway, I finally got all the grape juice filtered, so it's going to get in the canner going right now. So I have 14 quarts of tomatoes ready, plus some more in a bag in the refrigerator for me to add to the next batch. They're ready for the canner, but the canner is not ready for them yet because my grape juice is cooling a little bit before I can pull it out. But it is dinner time here, so we're going to adjourn for a while. We're going to say, okay, dinner time, husband's coming home for dinner, everyone's going to eat. The baby has actually been sleeping this whole time, and so she's probably going to stay awake for long into the night, which is excellent, kind of, because then I'll have somebody to keep me company while these tomatoes process for an hour and a half in the water bath. It's longer than you would anticipate, but whole, halved, or quartered tomatoes process for an hour and a half water bath, and I need somebody to hang out with me while that happens, especially because it takes extra time, water coming up to temperature, coming back down, taking them out, and everything. I'll run 2 canners at once in order to get them done faster. Otherwise, that would just be way more than I could handle in a day. In the meantime, I'm also hoping this evening to get some more apples peeled, quartered, and sliced with my spiralizer guy and into the crock pot to add to that apple butter applesauce for baking. All right, so just in case this is the end of the video, I'll see you in the next video, but if it's not, I'll just see you in the next clip.
Patrick said this doesn't fit me.
I'm sorry that he said that.
Well, it's a joke. No.